Hey everybody, thank you for coming out through crazy traffic. All that construction and closed exits. I actually didn't even try. Is Park Avenue closed? Did anybody try? It was supposed to close today for 6 months. I love the timing. Well, I'm Farnaz Fatemi, and I am your host for this evening, and I'm going to do this. I told all the poets to do this. Fix the mic. Okay. I'm really glad to see everybody here tonight, and we're celebrating teen poets in Santa Cruz County, and I know, it's so great. And tonight, in addition to celebrating the Outgoing cohort of teen poets, we are introducing you to our 2025 to 26 Youth Poet Laureate and the finalists. Thank you to all the young people in the audience supporting each other, and thank you to the community at large supporting teen poets as they lead us in this county. Each of you showing up tonight really matters. I hope you got here in time for snacks and refreshments, but I think there's more, so enjoy afterwards as well. I want to thank all the community's donors for all of that food and drink. On the back of your program is a list of those donors in our thanks. So please support them. We really appreciate it. The Youth Poet Laureate program is thriving because of many individuals and organizations. And along with the national organization Urban Words, which sponsors state, regional, and national opportunities for these local Youth Poet Laureates, our program is most supported locally by Santa Cruz Public Libraries, who have committed resources to sustain the program. And I'm happy to introduce Librarian Jacqueline Danziger to offer some words for the poets tonight.
All right, let me adjust this mic a little bit. Ooh, yeah, here we go. Hi, everybody. My name is Jacqueline Danziger, she, they pronouns, and I am a librarian at Santa Cruz Public Libraries, and I'm a local author. I'd like to thank Farnaz for the phenomenal work she has done to create and support this community of young poets, as well as our team from Santa Cruz Public Libraries, Laura Blasingame, Anna Maria Treadwell, and Catherine Upton. I would also like to thank Heather Norquist, Jessica Goodman, Friends of the Santa Cruz Public Libraries, and the Santa Cruz Office of Education, and the Santa Cruz Arts Council for making this happen in conjunction with Urban Word. I also want to thank the 2024 through 2025 Youth Poet Laureate and Cohort. Give them a round of applause. I want to thank them for their exceptional job that they have done as individuals as well as a team over this past year. They have shown themselves to be strong leaders, creating art and community in unique and outstanding ways here in our county. I've seen you all bloom and create meaningful connections that will not only reverberate throughout your brilliant futures, but also leave an indelible imprint in our greater Santa Cruz community. You have established a tradition of empowerment for Santa Cruz County's teen poets that will continue for years to come. You've been lighting the way through your words and your actions, showing local teens who may not have even thought of themselves as poets before that their voices are important. Together, you leave an extraordinary legacy, being part of the first ever Santa Cruz County Youth Poet Laureate and Cohort. Thank you, Dina, Madeline, Simon, Sylvi, and Gregory for being the torchbearers. Yeah, it's time to applaud. Yeah. I also have to thank each and every young poet who participated and added their unique voice to this year's program. And although only one Youth Poet Laureate can be named, I want you to reflect on the work that you've all done to get here today. Every single applicant we had is a rising star. And my hope for all of you stars is that you may find a way to connect and support each other as a community of young poets. So what you are doing truly matters. I want you to think about this. The connections that you make matter. When I was a teen, I was honored as a California Art Scholar for 2 years in a row. However, after the ceremonies and month-long study of creative writing in Southern California with other teen artists was over, we went back to our homes and I eventually lost touch with the others. I remember feeling really isolated as a teen writer. And here I'm going to tell all myself about my age. This was really before the internet was what it is today. So those opportunities for connection were slim. But today, you have an opportunity to work and grow together and build your relationships alongside your practice. Hold on to that. I want to remind this new cohort of incredible poets and incredible human beings that you and the community that you are creating now is precious. Dina and the 2024 through 2025 Santa Cruz County Youth Poet Laureate Cohort, I am sure can agree, right guys? Yeah? Mm-hmm. My hope is that through the application process and the workshops that you have established connections that you will nurture and that you can grow together as a community and support one another. And I need to remind you that writing poetry is a radical act. Yes, that's right. It is an act of self-expression. It is an act of connection, too. In Plato's The Republic, the philosopher said that art can be dangerous to the state. He said quite a few things about art, but here's what I want you to think about. Poetry is art, and it is dangerous. That's right. So with your pens, your keyboards, and your minds, you are capable of great change in your communities, your county, and your world. If words can bring empires down, then it can also heal and build. I want you to go out there and defiantly and radically write and build this world in community. I want to see each of you break down barriers and build bridges, and as a community of young poets, I want you to lift each other up and soar. Congratulations to the new Youth Poet Laureate and Cohort, and congratulations to you all. Give yourselves a hand.
So one of the main impulses driving the Youth Poet Laureate initiative is to draw people together across the county to find and learn about each other as poets. And many of the poets that we get to hear tonight have been supported by individual teachers across the county, whether in their classrooms or creative writing clubs or in after-school programs like the Young Writers Program. I want to shout out to some of these teachers are here: Tammy Harkins, Hannah Toole, Jennifer Ruby, Jay Salter, Andrea Roth maybe. So let's hear it for the teachers. There's so many others that I don't know about that you hear, made a difference, that somebody listened to or read a poem that somebody wrote at a young age. People make space for young writers. They don't realize even they're making space, and it's really important, and I'm just grateful to keep connecting the dots between all of us. As I mentioned at last year's celebration event, there was already a lot of enthusiasm from the community entering our first year, including invitations for the inaugural cohort to read and share their work. So before we hear from the 5 poets who've served this year, I just want to share a few of the experiences and opportunities that they've now been part of. Okay, I can't count the number of readings and interviews and radio shows that they've done. They were invited to Tor House in Carmel to spend an afternoon to write together. They've led several workshops for peers in various venues, including libraries, schools, and for the countywide Youth-Led Leadership Alliance out of County Office of Education. They've organized open mics, they've submitted their work, they've published it online, they've given TED Talks, and 3 of them have done the really diligent work of putting out a call and editing an anthology called Waking Up, which includes writing from them, but also from some of the incoming cohort members, along with teens from all over the county, and which will be published this September by 16 Rivers Press. And watch out for this. And they've done all this in 1 year, and all of it from some poets who hadn't read their work in public before last year's event at the Kumbwa. If I sound blown away, it's because I have been, and I am, and they seized the day and then some, and I find their curiosity and courage and energy totally inspiring, and I hope we can all keep doing things for younger poets and future poets out there to support this energy. But above all, their poetry itself gives me hope, and I love listening to them, and so I'm excited to step aside now and hear it. So I'm going to ask our current, about-to-be former Youth Poet Laureate Dina Lusztig Noyes to come up with Madeline Aliah, Simon Ellefson, Sylvi Kayser, and Gregory Souza.
Hi, my name's Dina. My pronouns are she, they. And in case you're wondering why there's 6 chairs, it's because you're going to be seeing my face for the next hour. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us here today. Before anything else, I'd like to thank Farnaz Fatemi for creating this program, and both Roberto Osorio and Mac Rogers for being superstars and helping so much with the cohort's initiatives. I'd also like to thank my teacher, Andrea Roth, for being the reason I'm here today, because I wouldn't have found out about this program without her. She actually helped me edit the speech, so if it's awful, blame her. Having had this title for a year, it feels crazy that I'm this close to handing it off. At the very beginning, I could never have guessed how many workshops and readings we found the time for, not to mention the entire anthology. It's been a year of learning, both within the confines of art and, more palpably, within the difficulties of planning literally any public event. I have to stress that no success was accomplished alone. Trust me, the things I did try to do completely on my own failed spectacularly. Though I may have been awarded a title last year, I can never say enough how much everyone else in this cohort has meant to me, and how much they've each done themselves, both with and without me. I'm going to be reading first today, followed by 8 amazingly talented artists. Now, without further ranting, I'll get going so you don't have to keep listening to me rave about how cool my friends are. This poem is called One Day When We Are Rich or Dead. Follow me, Karina, into the world, as we realize that we never left it. When you are born to what is called community, you learn its thoughts. Breathe with and as the collective uncollected, absorb what you can, take from it perspective. We've grown up in the past's failure, the final cusp of what we call real. We habitually turn back to community, to ideology in this void. And so, our peers are called revolutionaries, as that is what they must be. In order to survive, we take banners, the heaviest weights as 1,000 Atli. I never wanted to be called Atlas. nor, I suspect, did you. And so one day, further than we see, through the sea cliffs, over the meadow, we will be rich or dead or dying, or simply called subsister. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Madeline Aliah, and it has been my honor to be part of the finalist cohort for the Youth Poet Laureate. This poem I've had this poem since our most recent election. Barbed wire. A house divided against itself by walls to keep in people we need to hate cannot stand for babies dying unless they are across the sea where we don't have to see, or scraped out in scraps with a hanger by a girl who will hang because we built these excuses and we really need to hate something. And even when she is ours, we cannot help hoping that we cannot help, because forgive us for hoping the civilized country where needing to eat is a setback can die and will soon. We commit suicide by staying in America. This next and last poem was read exactly a year ago as one of the first I read as a Youth Poet Laureate finalist. The work. Capitola River is so close to Capitola Beach, but the babe's hands are just short of its mother. I walk outside and see how the hands reach home. The snake of sea churns the sand and pierces the skin of the waves. Men come down, build half a dam over the path of water, burp their beer, and leave. At noon, the children come to see a job half finished. We do not know each other, but we are here. Tourists and locals, we see work to do and do it, laughing together when the river bursts the wall, the serpent claiming Cleopatra a second time. And then they leave, but I remain. A fisherman finds me, guarding our work alone and trying to remember their names. Cracked with age and wisdom, he asks if I did this. I tell him I did not do it alone. He says the steelheads migrate when the river meets the sea. They dance down its thread like dew, but catch on stones on the way. But our burst dam will guide them. I do not know what steelheads are. I say we meant to stop the water. He says if that had worked, they would die, and he thanks me for a service to the earth we did not intend. Thank you. It's been an honor.
Okay. My name is Simon Ellefson. I use he, they pronouns, and I just want to say congratulations to the new cohort. It's really exciting and awesome, and also shout out to Miss Ruby. She's awesome. Yeah. This is a poem I wrote for the anthology that we have put together that Farnaz mentioned of youth poets from around the county. So yeah, it's called A Perfect Headline. I'm scared. I'm scared when I read of these threats to our society, to our livelihoods, to our bodies. But these things aren't new. They're just not surprising anymore. I see artists and activists. I see a woman who speaks out louder than anyone I've ever known. Her quilt of every mass shooting in 2024, cotton strips, 1 inch wide, set in rows on a pure white background, each tally mark a victim. Blue for injured, red for dead. Thousands of marks lined up in front of a firing squad. Should we celebrate that there were less total shootings than the year before? When the count is in the tens of thousands, does a few hundred make a difference? A few thousand? The numbers differ by definition, but the cost remains. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Do you feel it? On your skin? Do you feel the grime? Do you feel their deaths or their lives? Or maybe it's just a number. It's just a statistic. One more shooting to make the graph line up. One more body to add to the yearly chart. One more tally so the numbers are nice and even and memorable. Look, how perfect is that? 250 children under the age of 12 shot dead. What a perfect headline. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sylvi, and the poem I'm going to be reading is one of my favorites. I've read it quite a bit, but it's called Cramped. My body churns and spills out crimson liquor that I'm not old enough to enjoy, staining my sheets in ways that take time from my wasted hours to scrub. How domestic it is, the irony of the gush. Just a girl and just a groin, but suddenly it's all that defines my world and discerns my stomach. When it reverses, I won't be surprised to find rage simmering, boiling tomato sauce in a pot for pasta that's just empty, empty calories. I feel my intestines shrink. They attempt to prepare me for my own determined destiny, to familiarize myself with discomfort. Something society is so quick to slide into schools, curriculum that weighs down my bag with books I never bought. I slip through the bells and force smiles because it is my duty to provide for others when I cannot hand myself a life raft, because others should always come first. So why should pushing out another come behind my goals? Why don't I want to throw myself out the window at the ripe age of 16 for some unknown substance swimming in my stomach? I flail disconcertingly, swelling where I shouldn't. Knots pull tight, double like the ones that wrap twice around my neck at the start, and my body fails me once again. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Gregory, and I'm going to be reading a poem that I read last year, but in Spanish. Now I'm going to read it in English. Thrice coos the bloody dove of my golden autocracy, her pain far greater than ever before. My dove brings peace no more. I am but a figurehead of my own nation, lured by the soft coos of my dove. How ironic that the very symbol of peace becomes one of revolution. Can't they see what they're doing? I have to stop myself, as I too was blind to my ways. And there is no one left to listen, no one but my dove, whose eyes become fire opals, or simply just mirrors. No longer could I protect her, neither for myself nor for my state. We throw ourselves into the inferno, my dove and I learn what I have created, what she had been trying to warn me about, and I finally understand. But how late it is, her blood-covered body weighs her down as she falls into the flames. From those flames rises the new dove, like a phoenix, that comes to lead the new rebellion, as mine did so many years ago. For mine cooed not a coup, but of the coup that I never did see. And there's no one to grace the last iota of life slip from my faithful dove, her tarnished feathers fueling my repentance. My eyes moisten, and my head throbs, beating, until the door burst open, and the people, my people, take their revenge. Thank you.
So one more acknowledgement of this amazing cohort, and to thank them for everything they've done so far, knowing they're going to continue to be amazing, and many of them are going to continue to work with the new cohort. So one more round of applause. Give it up. Thank you. There you go. You can go now. Yeah. Yes, those two are staying. There's a little crossover, so you'll see. Thank you. Yeah. So before we move into the preview of the forthcoming year, I just want to mention the financial side of support for this program. So via the fiscal sponsorship of the Friends of the Santa Cruz Public Libraries, we've been able to receive donations to help build out the program longer term, to pay poets, including these poets, to run year-round workshops and programming to connect other poets around the county, to provide cash awards to the young poets, to do outreach, and to hold an annual event like this one. We thank all the program sponsors who are on the back of the program that you have. And we also wanted to thank Rotary Santa Cruz for continued funding from their annual grants program. If you'd like to help guarantee the growth of this program and more projects that are initiated by the cohort, you can scan the QR code on the back and it goes directly to the Friends Donate page, which is directly linked to us. And you can, whatever you can do adds a lot, because we can do a lot with a little in this program, and we've been doing it. And so please donate if you can. This year's applicant pool and the finalist pool, like last year's, reflected the diversity of our county and came from a range of high schools. And you can see all those high schools listed in the program. The outreach we do through libraries and schools is the reason we can keep expanding. And I'm really grateful to the specific support of Audrey Sirota, Arts Coordinator for the County Office of Education, and she's back there. Yeah. A lot of you probably know her, she is instrumental in helping me keep connecting to teachers especially, and thank you so much. So I am going to ask the rest of the incoming cohort to come up and take their seats. And as they do, so come on up. And as they do, I also want to acknowledge the judges for this really hard decision making. Julia Chiapella over here. Jackie Danziger, we heard from. Myself. Jen Ruby, did you make it? I know you were coming from far. Yay! Jen Ruby. And the outgoing Youth Poet Laureate, Dina Lusztig Noyes. Thank you so much. And I have one more thing. What I'm gonna do is be done. And so I'm gonna grab gift bags I have for everybody, and then I'm gonna turn over the podium to Dina and the new cohort. So bear with me.
Well, hello. Me again. I'm here. It is my great pleasure to help announce the next poets. I'll start with a very close personal friend of mine that I've gotten to know very well over the last year and have been very glad to meet. Sylvi Kayser is an avid writer and poet focused on expression of self. His work is a reflection of identity, her mind, and humanity as a whole. She has been writing all her life and discovered a love for poetry in 8th grade. Through their work, Sylvi wishes to cultivate spaces of understanding and hope. Please welcome Sylvi.
Long time no see. Hi again. The first poem that I'm going to be reading, the title has a bit of a pun, but you can see it, so it's 8-eyed, but it is I would, the abbreviation. I am 5 and saving a spider from drowning. There isn't anything I fear as much as the arachnid, near hysteria when I see it stir. But I'm crouching by the pool of our newly bought house. I'm not the one touching it. I can't remember which parent I pulled to have it plucked out. Even though I cry now as it skitters away, I knew I would cry more if it never moved at all. I am 16 and I'm saving a spider from another watery fate, shielding it with my hand. Another pool, this time a party, it's not my house. And I may not be the fastest runner, but I sprinted when the splashes started. The last front is my cupped palm as I shout in the loudest and lightest voice I can for them to stop. It brushes my hand and I do my best not to recoil. I can't let it think I don't want it to live. This time I have to be the parent to pluck it, with the biggest wood chip in the too bright garden. It's funny that this time I do not feel fear with it. I am saved from tears. I am 13 and staring in a mirror. A rusting blade to something I can't place sits by my hand. I have picked it up, but I have not done anything with it. The metal is colder than I would have liked. It feels too real, and suddenly so do I. I'm watching myself in the glass, desperately hoping I can sprout 6 extra eyes, wishing I could save myself from going under. This time, no tears will come, aqueducts run dry. It turns out I can't save everything I hate, only some, only spiders. Thank you. This next poem is one that is submitted for the anthology that's been mentioned, and it is called That Funny Feeling. Hope is a funny, fickle thing, and I found it to be most disappointing of all. To be dropped into a drop box mail-in ballot, battered and bruised, this free soil finds its way to choke any seeds that sprout. Groundhog's Day digs in and sprays my mouth shut. It started as 2 candidates, one who shouldn't be president and one who really shouldn't be president, not naming names, but in a sandwich, the B always comes before the T with lettuce squeezed in the middle to put up a buffer. Our last front is wilting and the mold starts strangling the rest. But swap that out for ham and suddenly there's reason to fight. Defense systems seek out soldiers that become younger every day and firearms fracture like fireworks in my eyes. There's a promise that sings for spring. We can kiss our futures without any goodbyes. To have and to hold my own, the original ink from 300 years ago floods my vein and spurts out that this could be ours. America, oh America, to shine your grace on me is something I will never get. Hope is a failing, fragmented thing. How could anyone but a dreamer do it? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sylvi. That was beautiful. Now we get into the portion of people I don't know. Mason Leopold really loves the spot where life in the valley, environmental celebration, and artistic language intersect. They hang out here a lot, writing pieces about human and ecological relationships through a sensitive, personal lens. Please welcome Mason Leopold.
First things first, I really want to thank Sylvi for introducing me to this program. My first poem is called This Land Is Your Land. Delta screaming, foreign blues. Couldn't hear them if I tried from here. Louisiana was the greenest green, and the pavers sank to the riverbank with the reverence of the eroded mud. Burning trees back in California. Smoke carries like a million stars. A streaky, black-gray galaxy that smells like wet rat fire. I wish I had a mud hill to stand on, to rise above the flames and quench them with all the rage of the southern monsoon. I would take it all from Appalachia to build my castle walls, scoop the mud from their citadels. I hope they would take all of our burnt logs and fire the furnaces that remain, and dry their sodden lives. Mindless hurricanes, lightning fires, America calling in 1,000 tongues. Wish I had a mud hill to stand on, get above the blues, the levees creaking, the forest cracking. Wish I could take my hands in all their slights and travels, give them the power to dry the endless vortex and to quench the fire lighting the ridges. Seems so lawless up on that hill, seeing one side burn and the other flood, seeing many wish for the grace of mud and others pray for the dry, buzzing heat. Seems so lawless, with boots in the slough and head in the fire, to feel the place in between where they meet, and the sternum where you can understand the world's surging pain. My next poem is called Sonnet. In the annals of time, an August waits enduringly for my memory. Within it, an afternoon. Within it, a glowing river. The late day river shines as bright as an heirloom locket. Silt and sand spill out as it opens. The lurid luster of the ancient gold is as bright as the day it was forged from the snowmelt and the mountain water and the sun. I'm up to the ankles in it, accompanying the rocky rapids and the tree roots on the bank as a partially sunken being. And as I slip through the river, another repeats me, him and I trailing the movement of the day. Today, the river is the cordial of love, flavored saccharine in the late summer. It swells my heart to the edges as I watch my companion lean to gather river rocks. I will the sun to shine on forever. Let me, in this moment, to preside over any days of indifference that could follow me, any days that cloud the river. He passes me a smooth stone, a hand I had known for some years, giving me 1,000,000 more, a gift of an epoch of silt and water and of golden afternoons. The next poem is new, and it's short, and it's called Spring Cleaning. March comes in like a lion, and I come in like a fly on its back, or like a beetle loafing on the growing leaf of spring. One day it occurred to me, the aphid has a confidence I will never have. It can suck sap freely and is never ashamed, even when it comes near the red shell of the ladybug. My final poem is called Threnody. 1. Say goodbye to my 1,000,000 questions, and I will say goodbye to your brash answers. Now I see we were strapped to dying stars. We became heat death and casual killers. 2. I wonder if the whiskey hurts going down. I wonder if you still give up tilling the fields halfway through. I wonder why a part of me says, who even cares too much anymore? There are machines for that. There is the sun for you. 3. A crocodile might never understand another animal. A star might burn too bright to see another star. But if they ever tried, they'd know a dragonfly existed, just by virtue of the earth and sky. And the crocodile could understand the dragonfly when it was in the swamp, and the star could understand the dragonfly when it was in the sky. 4. You were such a paradox, and so was I, but I knew why. And that's every sour fate. Could it have changed? 5. I don't know whether I hope you're having fun at your parties. That's all.
Thank you so much, Mason. Finn Maxwell is a junior in high school. He writes short stories and poems, often taking inspiration from his home in Boulder Creek. Finn's work has been recognized by the Scholastic Art and Writing Awards and the Iowa Young Writer Studio, and is present in the Maluzine, the Blue Marble Review, and the Incandescent Review. When he isn't writing, he spends his time painting and practicing photography. Thank you. Welcome, Finn.
Am I tall enough for this? I'm switching up the order a little bit, but this is plein air. Lately, I have been yearning to obtain the graceful sorrow of La Pieta in my painting. The marble shone like a tear. I have been believing in other myths. If you look up through the wind chimes' wooden tunnels, you will hear the ocean, and the little boy who steals buckets from it and dashes away and hides. When I am in the open air, waves come down upon the shore and mold into the hands of prayer. The nails, the pale wrinkles of the tide, dig into wet sand and beg for penance. My paint is dried before I can lay it. The ocean chases the boy. My brush frayed, strokes messy, and the painting is muddled into a single shape that melts from the canvas like an old candle, long abandoned in the good night. Thank you. This one is for spring in New England. My feet tied with ice to the wooden floors, like Emily Dickinson. An investment estate in Amherst, Massachusetts, clean and Protestant. Like her hands, washed twice a day in the ice, because it was soon to be spring, everything melting or being baptized. And I trimmed the grass to impress the prophets, visiting in clouds of snow, in the shapes of quivering dough, moose who dragged their ponderous reflections chained down. My blood clots and slows, pours onto the tabletop and sears an imprint, the shape of a cross, some harbinger of deprivation, pools in my empty stomach. What prophets could we be one day, our two minds soldiering on, well-made machines with gears that dance as one, slow and practiced when the weather comes to be right? At least I am not the robin who hung by his throat, tangled in the branch that was also long dead, how he swayed in the April wind. Okay, this last one is because things are different now. Before the water was too polluted to make clean, the scent of chlorine burned in your nose, your eyes unprotected. Between the rose bushes you prayed, watching the leaves cast shadows across the ground until the coves of green resembled utopian cities. This is how I imagine you grew up, in close conversation with the sun on summer days, with the weeds and the old sculptures in the garden. It is impossible to believe how a life like this could have once been mine, because no one looks as they did then. The fruit trees are not so vibrant. The wind has forgotten its sibilant song. What child could I have been? For by the time I returned home at dusk, the seasons had changed. The youthful good had all but escaped my palms. And it was a cold winter, and the rain seeped through me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Finn. Noemi Romero's writing comes from the connection they feel to their inner child, who they want to heal. They use poetry as a way to explore who they are, especially as a Mexican American, and to better understand the parts of themselves that are still growing. They also come from a theater background, which influences how they write and perform. Theater taught them how to use their voice, bring emotion to the surface, and make people feel something. They write because it helps them feel seen, and they hope it helps others feel seen in the same way. Welcome, Noemi.
The first two poems are letters to children of immigrants and their parents. For my brothers and sisters, para mis hermanos y hermanas, somos los niños que hace unos años ya vivimos este martirio, hemos crecido más fuertes que nunca, nos hemos convertido en abogados, doctores y activistas. We grew up hearing ponte las pilas y nos las pusimos. Thanks to these words, we obtained the most powerful thing in the world, knowledge. But now they're trying to take that away, banning books and censoring our media. I can't help but think que la historia se repite. Están incitando al miedo ya que se les olvida de quiénes venimos. Gente que además de trabajadora no le tuvo miedo a nuevos comienzos. Hermanos y hermanas, remember, staying alive is the biggest resistance we can make. It's one of the scariest and most poetic things I can say. Nothing will alleviate this pain. Pero recuerda, if one child of immigrant parents cries, we all cry. No estás solo. Y para esos malagradecidos que muerden la mano que les da de comer, no tengo nada más que decir que good luck working in the fields. The next one's called Sueños Rotos. ¿Qué hago si mamá no llega a casa? Es algo que jamás pensé en volver a decir. Mi cuerpo se paralizó, el dolor comenzó y como las lágrimas, como la lluvia sin parar. En ese momento vuelvo a tener 8 años, sentada en el comedor pensando en qué hacer si un día no llega a casa. Mamá dice, mija, tú no tengas miedo, ya que yo no lo tengo. Todo va a estar bien, pero ¿cómo le explico que no lloro solo por mí, sino por todos los demás? Por aquellos niños que ya crecieron y llevamos dentro, por aquellos que vivieron esto, por los que en un momento su vida desapareció con el viento, por los que trabajan sin importar el clima, nos dan comida. ¿Cómo le explico que lloro para que mi hermanito no sienta esto? Que ese sueño americano se ha vuelto en una pesadilla hasta para sus hijos, que a pesar que la frontera nos cruzó a nosotros como maleza, nos quieren arrancar de esta tierra, que el verdadero criminal es al que tienen en esa mesa, la que tiene como título The President of the United States of America. This next one is for my theater kids out there that have created a very special bond with their class. A place that will always be home, where one can be its best self no matter what or where. No es el lugar, sino completamente el sentimiento, ese sentimiento that only one can feel around the correct people. Esa clase siempre será mi favorita, no por el lugar, sino por las personas. Juntos sacamos a nuestro niño interior where they can be free of judgment, free of pain, just games in a stage. Sin darnos cuenta uno al otro, con acciones y palabras, el corazoncito nos sanaba. Picking up each other cuando lo iba mal, creando un hogar. Brick by brick, a place where everybody cares about the art, but even further about each other. Donde el director se convirtió en nuestro mejor amigo y confidente, que aunque él no lo crea, he's given us some of the most valuable lessons. El vacío se llenó, en esos momentos solo éramos nosotros y nuestro gran corazón. Our souls had connected and created a bond so strong it felt impossible to say goodbye. Espero que en otro universo se vuelva a repetir este encuentro. Ahora solo me queda el más lindo recuerdo in the center of our stage, singing one last time our favorite song. This last one is a letter to my little me. It's called Una carta para mí. Renacer desde adentro porque me merezco todo lo bonito, no porque yo lo digo, pero porque me lo he ganado, porque he aprendido y evolucionado. No me quedo estancada, sino al contrario, sigo nadando. Me ha tocado aprender una caída más alta que la otra, como aprender que el sazón lo llevo en la sangre y ese sí no se quita ni aunque me enjuague. He aprendido que sin importar el trato a los demás con amabilidad debes de tratar. No duele, sino al contrario te hace ser más inteligente. La paz solo guía con la conciencia limpia. o al menos eso pienso. El poder del saber es algo inexplicable, acompañado de empatía que no se podría hacer. Sé que voy por el camino correcto, no solo porque me lo dicen, pero porque lo siento. Como Rapunzel estoy donde debo estar, sigo la luz y no me dejo desviar. Sin importar qué tan difícil se vea seguir, sigo intentando ser la mejor versión de mí para esa pequeña que llevo dentro. Mimi, sé que estás muy orgullosa de mí. Hemos cumplido todos tus sueños, from becoming a cheerleader and being in theater. Poco a poco voy curando tu corazón roto, construyéndote otro castillo. Te doy un fuerte abrazo ya que sé todo lo que has pasado. Agárrame de la mano fuerte y no te pierdas. No quiero perder esa esencia. No otra vez. No sabes qué tanto te extrañé. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Noemi. And I'd like to welcome our final poet of the evening. Xander Shulman is a musically driven poet who emphasizes the rhythmic and artistic liberties of his writing. He's a jazz drummer who plays for several groups, namely his band. Could you pronounce that? I don't know how to. Gmaw's Place. At Gmaw Jams on, I'm presuming, Instagram. At local events and gigs, as well as a bagpiper in Santa Cruz pipes and drums, under the performance instruction of Jay Salter, who also has provided poetry guidance. He wants to bring the sound of his music into the thought of his writing, using poetry as a medium to address modern uncertainties in an unfiltered voice. Welcome, Xander.
Can you hear me okay? The first poem I have for you tonight is called V. Where's the other half of the V? I see a line where I once saw it, doubled, though without this knowledge I hold precedent, this line would be the only one I know. Is this how it is? Now, or has it always? Repeating an equally obscure formation before. Is this where I lie, beneath their soaring? When did I fall? Into the wrong place. I thought they always fly in V's. This one's called Hum from Inside My Yellowed Pages. Not for poetry, not to me at least. I'm unable to properly inform you, nor do I really want to, if it's up to me. She once told it something like that. I stare, long, willing to find more than just a crumpled dollar at a road's near end. With each word I pause. I hang from the rungs of a capital E, grip closed of ease, a passage left to sink under my skin, dripping knuckles crest, weaving my arms freckles. Every voice following, something like that. Hearing so many, scratching at the silence between words, phrases, poems, how I could give a piece of myself to fill that void. I already chose the sounds, so go ahead, I suppose. Pick a chord, pick any texture spoke. A lullaby, a whisper, a cry, a limerick. What difference does it make? Uncurling each finger, shifting only slightly changed from placedness, even without ever seeing the end. This next poem is called Forest Passage. Your breath calms movement beneath my palms, flowers stretching far past the tip of its most reaching. Though I don't find myself stray, often I trek along your forged path, strangerless, unpublicized beyond your feet, paving the greenery. How I've come to follow your path, I can't always remember, until I once again wander into your open gaze, beauty with grace of their own. I am encased by your motion through the leaves, opening at your words as they wave back to me, voice of my soul, understanding what you say, more than my elucidation. Standing amongst the wildflowers, I can smell their sweet aroma, see your light imprint in the soft ground beside me, without thought of anything other than my thankfulness to be walking along your path. The final poem I have for you tonight is called Freedom is Beckoning. Call from beyond, scape of which he sees through forest spoils, roots perched unspoken. Great howl in the distance stretches, not short enough so he can't hear, but requiem unsounded, or lost, perhaps, lost behind those jagged mountaintops surrounding the frozen lakes. Wonder if he heard. Too far, a rain sings the tune before tempest, gently. Pitter, patter. Round, so round, a consistency he can't remember. I do. Sediment finds air past surface of the fall, though thunderous near, as he preys on its ascent. Just harder, please. It once sounded quiet then. I worry. Stillness reveals it never dims voices. Smoke is noticeable before it dissipates into vastness. I would light again if it means he sees, whether he follows. I would light again if it means he knows. Thank you.
Hi, it's me again for the last time. Could we just give one more big round of applause for all these amazing poets? And just when you thought you were safe, I have another spiel for you. Believe it or not, being awarded this title a year ago, despite submitting to the Scholastic Art and Writing Awards every year in my high school career, I had never won anything for my poetry. Every year I felt like I'd been writing better and better, and I consistently got no recognition. I applied to this program somewhat on a whim, assuming there were much more qualified and skilled applicants, but wanting to at least try. Before applying, I had never even seriously read poetry, despite writing it for years. Needless to say, I ended up here. And that's the message I'd like to pass on to the next pool of applicants. The wonderful poets sitting here got here because they made the hard decisions to put themselves out there. It's never easy to willingly subject yourself to judgment. As I was part of the judging team this year, I can tell you that the decision we made was far from easy and had many moving parts in its determination. I can confidently say that every poet sitting here would have been an excellent choice. And more importantly, I can't wait to see what they accomplish in tandem. The community that has been built over the last year has been beautiful to see, and I'm so glad more wonderful youth artists will get to be a part of it. Could we have a hand for that, please? Thank you. Thank you. Now, finally, it is my pleasure to present to you your 2025 Santa Cruz County Youth Poet Laureate, Finn Maxwell.
Hi. I just wanted to say thank you to my family who's here. I love you guys. Let's give them a round of applause. I aspire to be like you all every day, and your support means so much to me, and it's why I'm here. And I've also got some friends up in the crowd, so you get a cowboy cheer. And I never would have the confidence ever in a million years to put my work out here or to come up here and read for you guys. Without them, they encourage me to be confident to be myself every single day. So I just love you guys so much. Thank you. And I also want to thank my teachers. I don't know if it's open house night, so I don't know if they were able to make it, but Miss Ruby and Miss Thompson, yeah, let's give them a round of applause. They encouraged me so much, and they give me so much guidance and encourage me to be a more creative person, and I'm so grateful for that. And I'm grateful for all of you guys for taking the time out of your busy lives to come here and support poetry and to support community poetry and especially to support youth poetry. We're all so grateful that you're here. So give yourselves a round of applause, please. Thank you. Okay, bye.
Congratulations to all the youth poets here, and I'm so happy and excited to see what you're gonna do with your year. Good night, everyone. That was the show. There might still be food left outside. I don't know. I haven't seen the outside in an hour and a half, but go home.